It's 2022 and the next legislative session starts on Monday, January 10th. First, I want to talk about a massive victory we've had in the interim, and I cannot understate the massiveness of this victory. This is finally, officially, the hammer with Himebaugh. Thanks to all of the phone calls, all of the emails, all of the rallies that grassroots people attended. Does it matter that I was the only one emailing and calling and attending those rallies? Not at all, because we got victory. This is no longer the BIAW Bulletin, it's the Hammer with Himebaugh. So with that, welcome to the Hammer with Himebaugh 2022 edition. Let's preview session. Originally, we thought the 2022 legislative session would offer a mixed bag of how we access our democratic republic. Both some virtual stuff, but also some in-person options. However, the Omicron variant, the more spreadable but less symptomatic COVID variant, has enabled the majorities to push back into hiding. So we're going to go likely into a 100% remote session once again. We're not still fully sure what that looks like, particularly in the Senate. Yes, I'm filming this less than 7 days before session starts. And no, I still don't know how you and I can access our democratic republic. It's really great. What we do know is that all committee hearings will be virtual, which once again brings the opportunity for you to engage in the process. We'll send out weekly links that are on bills that are important to home builders for you to sign in, support, or oppose. And every so often, we'll call on you to testify and bring real-world experience to the legislative process and to policies under consideration. This is supposed to be a short 60-day session, and I don't see any reason for it to go longer. That means there'll be about 12 Hammer with Himebaughs, so let the countdown begin. And since it's an election year, majorities will be hesitant to do anything that impacts voters' pocketbooks negatively, which is why they're discussing and debating delaying the implementation of the wildly unpopular long-term care tax, which is a tax on working people's paychecks. What they'd rather do is have it hit working people's paychecks after they're reelected. Remember, those premiums are legally and technically due in the first quarter of 2022, unless the legislature does something very soon. See the BIW blog for more information about how to collect those premiums. Anyways, there's also always the terrible ideas that come to us, banning natural gas, increasing our building code requirements, changing and adding more exactions and more requirements on our planning structure in Washington State, adding employment liability. But BIW is also going to be pushing for some positive changes so that we can actually improve home ownership opportunities for the people of Washington. Permit timeline reforms. Let's start saying yes to housing instead of saying no, and do that faster. Duplicative planning and process elimination. We should stop doing the same things over and over again on each project. It's time to streamline all of that. And fee transparency. It's time to talk about how fees are set and making sure that people know what the real processes are for things like impact fee deferrals, as well as ensuring that jurisdictions are doing their due diligence when they're setting hookup fees and not just trying to soak the new guys coming into the neighborhood. And also building a workforce for the future. We need high schools to tell students and parents that there are multiple pathways to graduation, not just college-bound pathways. Workforce is important, and we need people today so that they can build the houses of tomorrow. The average new home cost in Washington State is $522,000. It means 75% of Washington residents cannot afford a new home. That is nonsense. Permit delays really do add to the cost of housing. In Washington, the average permit delay adds $22,000 onto the price of a new home. That is also nonsense. It's time we start fixing housing in Washington and stop wrecking it. If you'd like more detail on what the legislature is doing, please email me at janh@biw.com to be included in our weekly legislative update. And remember to answer the call and sign in on those committee hearings when bills that impact our industry are being heard. Again, this has been the first episode of the 2022 Hammer with Himebaugh. Home start here, Himebaugh out.